Hey, what is happening? Welcome to the Do Happy podcast. I'm your host, Donnie Tuttle. And the question that I have is, why aren't more of us doing happy? And what can that lead us to? I was in a library during our years of travel, and we were in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and I remember seeing a sign, and I've looked for this quote like all over, like who did this? I can't remember who did it or who said it. And the quote said this. It said, "If we want our children to learn how to read, we should make reading taste more like candy and less like medicine." And man, it makes you think, right? Just a spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down, right? We've got the idea that that we can follow joy. Why does that seem so preposterous? Why do we reject that so often? And like, does that serve us anymore? Does that serve our society? Is that really where we want to go? Or even if we do go in the direction of just going towards the joy thing, does that just make us all, I don't know, does that give us cavities of some sort? Does that take us to a place to where we're not actually doing something that's good for everyone? I don't know. You know, that's the dialogue I can tell you about. For me, and so my belief is this. I believe that when you're doing what you were made to do, then you are going to be more excited. You're going to be more joyful. You're going to be more abundant in every single way. And I actually think that joy is an indicator of the design. And going into what I think, it's interesting because it plays on both sides of that coin. Like I definitely come from, a Christian background. So I believe, even though my beliefs have changed in a lot of different things, I definitely believe that we were designed by a creator. And I believe that we were designed with an intention in mind. And when we're doing what we were made to do, things are in harmony. And in the place of harmony, there's less stress, there's more joy, and it becomes something that I believe it's us flowing in our zone of genius. And I think that every one of us gets a zone of genius. And so that's something I definitely owe to Christianity and believe strongly. And maybe that's you, maybe it's not, but that's not to say that you need to throw this whole idea out. I can tell you where my faith maybe played against this, and where it ended up maybe sabotaging a little bit of my design personally, and where I've seen it work against others as well. And that's the idea that that if you were led by joy, you are, if you're led by pleasure, then you are somehow a weak individual. You're following the flesh. You're probably going to get trapped in some sort of sin. You are not following the way of the Lord, because he said, pick up your cross, and unless you do these things, you don't enter into life. And so as much as like this one side, that there's this one belief that's a stream that goes from the Garden of Eden all the way to the point where Jesus is saying, I'm telling you, whatever you see me do, these things you'll do, and you'll do greater. Or just so many instances where in the Bible, it's the new creation version of you is addressed, and it's something that is this powerful being. And I think the last place that I'll end, in the Bible parts, and this is where my belief is now, has to do with the Christ in you, that the Christ in you is the hope of glory, that you are a brother and a joint heir, a co-heir with Christ. You're an equal with Christ. There is, and again, I'm not a theologian. I've read a lot, prayed a lot, talked a lot, all of those things, but I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just telling you my conclusion right now leads me to believe that we have this piece of God in us, and that piece of God, that part of God, wants to be expressed, and it is expressed in a creative fashion when we deploy our gifts and our talents in a way that serves others and also simultaneously brings joy to ourselves. And so I almost see it like there's a connecting point. There's heaven, he is here, and someone here on earth is in front of you, and you become like a connection point between heaven and earth. And your genius is really an expression of God on this planet. And that expression actually allows other people to be able to experience a moment of God. And so those are the places where I'm at. And I see on the one end where it's like, man, I see that and I feel that. And I see this other end where it's like, oh my gosh, I feel so guilty. I feel unable. I don't know if I do this, I might end up in a bad place. And ultimately, I've had to slowly let go of that fear. And I think fear is that ultimate monster that stops us from that. But to the point of, we need to make things taste more like sugar and less like medicine. And when I look at, like, I get paid to help people make change in their life, to create new habits, become someone newer, better, stronger, faster, all of those things. And the thing that I find is that in my industry, which is kind of an interesting one, people will help you to make change by either making you angry and fearful. And a few of us, very few of us, so maybe I'm wrong, if there's only a few of us, are helping people to make change based on love and joy. Here's the way that it works typically. You suck. You want to lose weight, you fat slob. Get out there and get your butt on the track, stop eating McDonald's and eat Brussels sprouts and cabbage or whatever, right? It's like, and a part of it's like, I mean, I can't deny there's some truth to that, but there's this weird thing that's wrapped up in there that I think ends up being destructive, and it's self-loathing and hatred. And it's like in the midst of that, it's like for me to change, I have to hate myself. And so then, okay, cool, I got that change and I got my weight to the place I wanted it to be, or I got through whatever. And it creates almost like this mechanism that and I've been there. This has been me, like, oh, you suck, you're not doing enough. So there's like this mechanism now that if I want to change, I have to like get back into the mode of just hating myself and denying myself, and like back to the idea of like, that I believe is errant philosophy. It's picking up my cross. And then, of course, attached to that is, I think, the great American myth of hustle and grind. And yeah, you gotta hustle. You gotta grind. And cue up the Rocky training scene, right? Where now we have a man in sweats chasing chickens or doing 1,000 push-ups and sit-ups and doing the work that it takes to get there. But always it's like, there's like this anger in his face whenever you see him moving in those directions. And I'm not like, I know this is kind of like just clouds of thought, but the idea is like, can we make change? Can we make our growth? Can we make these things more joyful? Can it taste more like candy and less like medicine? What happens when we do that? What happens when you don't have to hate yourself to change? There was one of the books I read about a year and a half ago Great book, fun read, phenomenal, but I think actually very dangerous. It's called Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. Now, this guy he's done way more things than I will ever do. He's been like a Navy SEAL, and he's also been in special forces, and he's ran ultra marathons, and he has the World Pull-Up Challenge and the Guinness Book of World Records, and all of these things David Goggins has. And his whole point is like, we are capable of so much, and it's beyond what we could think, or all of that. And I love that message. But if you watch the mechanism that he deploys to actually make that work, it feels like self-loathing. It feels like I've got to prove something to someone. It's not functioning from I am great. It's like, I'm going to prove I'm great. And you have to have like some chip on your shoulder. You have to be considered the underdog. You have to be the person that everyone counted out. And it's like, the problem with that is what if everyone thinks that you're the best? And like, do you create some chip on your shoulder? Like, I know Michael Jordan did that, and he became arguably the best basketball player to ever play the game. I don't know how you decide that title. I watched him play, loved it, loved seeing it. But it's like, was he really free though? Was he the ultimate expression of himself, or was he basically now a slave to having to have this feeling that he has to now be driven by this thing? And that thing that he was being driven by wasn't really the spirit of freedom. It wasn't the spirit of love. It wasn't the spirit of that which can last and endure. It was this thing of self-loathing and fear and hatred and anger and all of these things that we know scientifically cause cortisol levels, stress levels. Like these things cause diseases. In other words, it's like the car that was designed to run 120 miles an hour, but you're making it run 180 miles per hour. Like eventually something breaks. And I think that if we function and live in the place to where everything tastes like medicine, then we do end up in a stressful place that just ultimately is empty and painful. To the example of David Goggins again, it's like you look at, I think he was divorced 3 or 4 times. There was a joy deficiency. Did he do great things? He did great things, but what did he miss in the process? Well, he defined greatness as this and being the record holder of that, at least. And again, I'm not judging the guy. I've never met the guy. I would love to meet the guy. I'm inspired by him. But also, it's like there is a part of the story that's missing there. And when I present a story, and by the way, if you watch the, whatever the Chicago Bulls documentary was, that was told through the lens of Michael Jordan. So it's going to be positive and oriented towards Michael Jordan. Great documentary. Oh my gosh, if you grew up in the 90s and 80s and you watched him play, it's like amazing. But was he just that person that was able to make himself eat more medicine because it was what nobody else would do? I do the things that no one else would do so I can have the things that no one else will have. Is that the only way to get there? And where is there? Like, who defines that for us? I think we can do this thing from a place of joy. I think we can do this thing from a place where it tastes like candy, it tastes like sugar. There's joy. There's joy. And for those of you who are, my brothers and sisters, in the world of Christianity, and you're like, no, joy is just going to lead me, into a place of doing bad things or depravity. I really believe this. It's like, if anyone is in Christ, you're a new creation. The old is gone, the new has come. And I believe that if you trust in the Lord and you seek him, he will give you the desires of your heart, meaning he will give you the desires that are inside of your heart. Not like you have something and he gives, but he changes your desires, gives you good ones based around your identity and who you are. And for those that aren't, oriented towards Christianity, listen, I understand you. I like, it's not. I don't think that's required, at least in my worldview. I don't think that's required for you to be able to live a joyful life of purpose. I think it's helpful. I think it's very helpful. But hopefully you'll still continue to follow and listen to more of this. But that's my question. My question is this, and I ask that to myself, and I think I'm probably will spend many more episodes just kind of digging into saying, like, what, like, can we trust happiness? What does that ultimately bring? And what's the ultimate end? What is the ultimate end of that? What's if you're chasing after something that you have to hate yourself for during the process, like what happens at the end of that? Yeah, I get to where I wanted to go, but I also hate the person that I am. I don't think you have to be an a-hole in one more thought about this, and then I'll be done. There was a season of my life where I will just say that at least for a good decade, maybe a little bit longer, I did things that nobody would do. I never had the things that nobody would have during that time, but it was for me it was going into the world of Christianity, and what I was pursuing was this deeper place of meaning with God. And I would do crazy things. I would fast for 20 days. I would, and by the way, I'm not saying like I'm big and bad for doing that. I'm nope. Pray for hours or days. I would, it was the leading of groups. There was a whole bundle of things that I would do. But in the interesting thing is that for as much as I'm thankful for those things. I'm not saying that those were bad, but ultimately to do like next level things, I had to basically require things of myself that I didn't feel like doing. And there was a level of discipline that was past, I would say, reasonable. And it was more to the point of like, almost like I had to deploy rage to get there. Almost like like I said, like that self-loathing. And as I was to do that, I had to be a jerk to myself. And now here is the dangerous part. And this is like, I can feel the parallels, right, with the David Goggins. Again, not that I measure up to him, for those of you who are thinking that, but it's like, when you are a jerk to yourself, when you hate yourself, when you're an a-hole to yourself, you will be that to other people. Other relationships will suffer when you are, like when you're off with the way that you treat yourself. And boy, I can tell you, some of those things took years for me. I'm probably still recovering from some of those things. And not just me, it's relationships of those that I'm around. And so I've tasted, I've been through some of those battles. I've got the scars to prove it. And I don't know. I do want to share the joy-oriented stuff, because I feel like the last few years of my life have been radically changed based on that. And for me, I believe based on an experience with a God that is love, and how you judge yourself is how you're going to judge others. And so that love and forgiveness and grace and joy and allowing myself to live in that place has helped me to help a whole bunch of other people to live in that place too. And I gotta tell you, it's so much more fun. And I'm like, why did I for years like not have fun? What was wrong? What was wrong with me, man? And I love, for the past few years I've been learning this joy thing, and I'm thankful for it. And so that's the question for you. Like, can growth taste like sugar? I mean, sometimes maybe it does taste like medicine, but what's your view? I would love to hear maybe impact this message has had on you, or how it's made you think, or what your experience has been, whether you're in or out of the church. And it's just not church, it's self-help, it's all kinds of things that ultimately help you to feel like you're not enough and you need them. And my gosh, if I could say one thing to end it, I want to hear your thoughts. But I believe you are powerful, and you are amazing, and you have a song to sing, and we all need to hear it. And you should be loosed to do that instead of thinking that you have to conform into what all of the rest of us have been expecting and asking from you. It's like there's something in you that needs to come out it's just genuine and pure and true. And from that space and that place where your gifts and your talents are united with serving other people, your heart sings. It makes all of us better. And so a little bit of encouragement on the way out, but I would love to hear your thoughts. Am I wrong? I'm okay. If I'm wrong, I'm open to evolving. So share. And on the way out, definitely, I think the goal is to interact. We're gonna have a Facebook group here soon. Obviously, there's this podcast and audio and on video, and I plan on doing things with just various things with having my wife on or other people, but just being real, just being open, just being just real. I'm like, that's what this whole thing is about. And hopefully you appreciate this. And even if you don't, it's okay. I'm having fun doing it. And this is going to be the expression of my life. I believe you were made for a purpose, and you and I have the ability to walk after that joyfully. So go and do it. Go release that magic on the face of this planet, and go be you, man. Go be you. Talk to you soon.